Hello there, thank you very much for joining. You are listening to Kylie Rea, and this is the Living the Life of Kylie podcast, an eclectic mix. It's been a little while since I've done a podcast, and I thought I would really do one on my own for the moment, just to give a bit of an update on perhaps my ADHD journey, how it's been going so far. It's been a bit of a bumpy ride, if I'm entirely honest with you. So I'll talk a bit about that and sort of just give you a bit of an overview as to what we've got coming up over the next few weeks. We've got some amazing guests on, which I'm so excited about. And these are all people who I personally hold in really high regard, and I know that you guys will absolutely love everything that they've got to say as well. So I will be unveiling everything all to you very shortly. I've upgraded my pen. This pen doesn't have a click, so I'm borrowing Arnie's Rainbow that I actually got for him. I didn't actually realise I fidgeted as much as I do, but it turns out I definitely do. So this is going to be, while you're listening to me, while you are perhaps watching on YouTube or on the Instagram Reels, if you see me looking down, this is what I'm playing with, okay? So thank you so much. In relation to my ADHD journey, I think the last time I gave an update, I was just about to start maybe my second course of medication. So I was on the 30 milligrams of Elvancy, which didn't even touch the sides. For me, it was absolutely pointless. It was like taking a vitamin tablet. I didn't notice any difference. They then upped me to 40 milligrams. And I started to feel a little bit more in control. I felt a little bit more calm in my head. I didn't feel so busy and frantic and chaotic and mad and desperately needing to rush and, it's hard to explain to someone who perhaps doesn't have ADHD or those manic, frantic, mindset moments. But when you are, washing up or you're getting the kids' school uniform ready, or you're already thinking 4 or 5 steps ahead of yourself, because otherwise if you don't think about it then you'll forget about it. So you're constantly thinking 4 or 5 different steps ahead of you. And that started to really quieten down while I was on the 40s. So when we had the review, again, she was like, okay, you are getting there, but it's not quite there yet, So she's upped me to 50, so that's fun. I'm not noticing any side effects. So when I had the initial side effects, it was like the racing heartbeat and the sort of dry mouth and like a bit of a headache. I haven't really noticed anything to that degree, but I did have a really bad adverse reaction to the medication once I changed and went up, which was, I think my body just went into shock, and it was just all over the place. Heart rate through the roof, blood pressure, sickness, and that took me a little while to realise that it's probably because I had a break between doing the 40s going up to the 50s. There was a very small interlude between being able to get the medication because there was a shortage and stuff like this. So that was quite difficult to manage. It only lasted a very brief moment. Well, it wasn't a brief moment. It was across a weekend. But in the grand scheme of things, everything has started to level out. One thing I did notice, which I have, of course, been advised against, but this is me. When do I ever listen? They said, you really need to not be taking these tablets with any alcohol. She said to me initially, once you know that you're going to be going out for a night out, just don't take a tablet in the morning, give it like a full 24 hours, and then don't take, your following morning medication. So in my mind, I thought that meant, yeah, go for it, don't worry about it, you're fine. That's not the case. And I actually realised that the reason why my medication perhaps wasn't working as much as it should have been is it's all my fault. It's all entirely my fault, because I was carrying on, perhaps having a drink there, having a drink here, and, drinking on my own as well. So I was clicking back into those old habits and not really giving myself the probably what I want to say is I'm not giving myself the self-respect that I deserve, by actually allowing myself to say, right, Kylie, you need to really give this your all. You can't be sitting there going, oh, that's right, I'll just give this a dabble, and if it doesn't work out, don't worry about it. This is actually your life. This isn't something that you can just click in and click out from. It's not you starting a college course and dropping out again and thinking, oh, don't worry about it, it's fine. This is actually mental health, physical health as well, which is having that impact. So I had a bit of a word with myself, and I'm very happy in the fact that I know that it's just simply not possible. She was saying, you know, the risks of heart attacks and strokes and all of this is so much higher because it's an illegal substance that they are prescribing, amphetamines. Now, when they initially said that to me, it blew my mind. I was thinking, well, I need slowing down, surely. I don't need picking back up. But I believe that the dopamine levels must raise significantly as a result of having that medication inside your system. So while that's raising, the alcohol's doing this and trying to bring me back down, plus I'm on the antidepressants as well. So that's all so I was all over the place, and it really was horrendous. It really started having a negative impact on my life in that I couldn't think, I couldn't do, I couldn't be, I couldn't communicate, and I started going inwards. And I just couldn't even do anything. And the ADHD paralysis is so real and so impactful that I noticed that the more and more I kept thinking, God, I need to do that. God, I need to do that. God, I need to do that. And the more that I knew I wasn't doing it, the bigger and bigger this sort of mountain became. And it just got worse and worse, to the point where I'd be talking to myself and saying, you are stronger than this. You are better than this. You can beat this. You decide what happens, not the thoughts in your mind. And I really tried to pull myself out of that. And I thought, right, after I've had this shower, I'm going to do exactly what I need to do. It's not that hard. Just sit down and do it. Nope. You could have said to me, there is £1 million there, Kylie, in that envelope. It's ready to go. It's yours. Just do what you need to do. Just do it now. Just go on, do it right now. No. You would have had more luck of me jumping out of an aeroplane than doing the task list that I needed to do. And the only thing I can actually relate that to is perhaps because I wasn't taking the medication as I should have been, which obviously I'm correcting now, and I'm really seeing the differences and the benefits of actually leading a clean life, I'm exercising. I think last week I did 32 miles walking all the dogs. I haven't been able to do quite as many this week, but that's because the snow was there and it's very cold. So I'm not sort of reaching those milestones in relation to that. But I think my personal milestones are starting to click in again, which is good. I'm really happy with that. It's sort of brought me to a point where I am never ever wanting to feel like that again. Even though I was on medication, even though I was sort of well within my ADHD journey, I shouldn't be, still feeling like this. This is something that old Kylie would have had to have dealt with. But old Kylie never ever felt the way I felt. Ever. I mean, it's easy for me to say, oh, I'd put stuff off, and, I'd forget deadlines, and I wouldn't be able to do this, and, things like that. That I think is pretty standard. I can work with that and I can excuse that. But my reasoning for the way that I was and the way that my life was almost spiraling was my own doing. I wasn't respecting the medication enough. I wasn't giving myself the chance to actually make a go of this. And again, that's entirely my own fault. External factors, I had the worst flu in the history of man. I don't think I've ever felt so unwell. So there was that. My parents were away in New Zealand, which, most people are like, well, why does that matter? But I have such a strong relationship with my parents in that I can go to them and say, oh my God, please help me, or I need to do this, or I need to do that. And they are always on hand. They weren't there. So when I'd come downstairs and I could barely stand up, and Arnie, bless him, it was the Tuesday before half term. They broke up on the Friday. So I started feeling unwell on that Tuesday. And it kicked in the evening. And I thought, oh, here we go. It's starting. This is the flu. I can feel it. When you go to bed and you're freezing cold, your bones are like ice. but then you're really boiling. Like my eyelids were sweating. It was just insane. Sweaty eyelids, sweaty backs of the knees, freezing cold body, very, very confusing. But on the Wednesday, I felt right as rain again. Not a problem. I was like, oh, that's weird. Oh, I must have got away with it really nicely. The Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, for a week thereafter, poor Arnie, I would be in bed, I would be so unwell, he'd be laying next to me on his iPad, I'd be able to make him like a little snack offering, please eat this, because I can't do anything else. So he was able to do that, but then he'd be like, it's okay, mummy, like you just rest, I know you're not feeling well, and it affected him by seeing me so unwell. Normally I can get through it and mask, of course, I can mask my way through life, I can pretend that I'm not feeling really awful, unless it's sickness, in which case, you know, pass me the bucket, is happening, it's coming out right now. But that really impacted me, because again, I wasn't doing what I thought I should be doing as a mother, which is looking after my son, and taking him places. It's half term, you know, the weather was really nice, and I was just bedbound. I was so unwell. So I was already on the back foot. And then I thought, right, I'm starting to feel better. What can make me feel better again? Oh, I'll have a glass of wine on the antibiotics. Although, having said that, in 34 years, well, since mum and dad probably stopped giving me antibiotics with the spoon. Remember that yucky, is it amoxicillin, where it tastes like banana? Apart from that, I have never, ever finished a whole course of antibiotics. And I can confirm I finished the whole course of antibiotics, because holy, there's not a chance in hell I wanted to be feeling like that again. No, thank you. So I made a point and I took my last antibiotic. I was like, yes. But it sort of makes me think, well, why have you always found it so difficult to do that anyway? Why can't you just finish your course of antibiotics? Why can't you just pick up your shoes? Why can't you just... And it's because... well, I thought I was feeling better. So I thought, okay, well, I've given my body a kickstart, you know, and the body can just pick up from where it left off. It's all right. It's fine. No. This is one woman who doesn't mess with medication anymore. Holy. No, we're not doing it. We are respecting the medication. We are respecting the doctors and the psychiatrists. And we're going to be making sure that I don't put myself in that position again. So that, in a nutted shell, is a bit of an update. I feel like you're up to speed now on where I've been with everything. It's been quite a difficult month, a very difficult month actually. Moving outwards, I'm feeling a lot brighter, I'm feeling a lot more in control. I'm getting things done slowly but surely. Obviously it's not going to be overnight and all of a sudden everything's back to normal and wow, like look at me now, because I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think that there's going to be that on off button that I thought, or that I hoped that there would be. Before, when I was really at my lowest, and I just did not want to be myself anymore. And that was quite a scary time. It was a really, I've never had thoughts like that before. I've never had thoughts of sort of that deep, I don't want to be me, I can't do this anymore. Whatever this is, I couldn't do it. I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to be in this situation anymore. I didn't want to be me. I wanted a break. I wanted to stop everything, stop dead. I can't do it. I want to get off. And of course you can't. You've got to keep going. And I very much recognize that, you know, tomorrow's a new day. Tomorrow's, you know, blah, blah. But when you are feeling like that, it makes no difference. Tomorrow's a new day, but you're already thinking, yeah, tomorrow's a new day of exactly the same stuff that I am bored to tears of having to deal with. I can't deal with this anymore. I don't want to deal with this. I am out, you know, and that was a very scary sort of train of thought that I had. I had some really lovely supportive messages from people. Afterwards, I was a bit like, cool, all right, Kylie, you bloody attention-seeking drama queen. I was a bit like, oh, what on earth did you say that for? Why did you have to be so public? And you know, it probably was a cry for help. It probably was, you know, a big cry for help and a big like, someone see me because I can't do this anymore, you know. And it's a very lonely mindset, and it's a very lonely place in your own head sometimes, because it's only you that's in there. and it's only you that can hear you, and it's only you that can make the difference. You can listen to a million, manifesting podcasts and, doing wellness and mindfulness and all stuff like that. But when your mind is louder than the external input, obviously you're always going to struggle. I took a call from a friend of mine who she's at the early sort of stages of, well, she's discovered that she probably does have ADHD, and we were talking earlier, and she was just saying, I'm so over it. I just can't, I'm just so bored of this, and it's just constant, like Groundhog Day, and doing this, doing that, doing this, doing that. But I think when you are going through ADHD and someone says to you, have you thought about maybe this might be the reason, or this might be something that you can look into, you do the research and you sort of go, oh my God, yes, that's me, that's me, that's me, that's me, that's me. And you're like, wow. And it's like someone just opens this door for you, and it's the door that you've been desperately trying to get the whole time. You're pushing all these different doors and pulling all these books from the shelves, trying to sort of make sure where this trap door is. As soon as someone points that out to you, you press the door, it opens, and you're like, wow, and it just blows your mind. But that's quite a short-lived experience in my view, because you can press that door, you can go through it, you can relate as much as possible to anyone else in the world who's saying, oh, I know I'm like this, and I do this, and da-da-da. And it's amazing how all of the ADHD traits are all the same. So myself, when I was speaking with my friend earlier, it literally went, and it's like we were talking about each other. We were the same person. We had the same story. We had the same sort of relationships with people. It was just incredible. But that can only take you so far. After you've gone through and you've recognized, right, okay, I think I really do have ADHD. The wait list is astronomically long. I don't know if I'm going to be able to afford to go private, and then the medication is like £120 a month for 28 pills. Thank you very much. And that's private. You find yourself at a stumbling block, and you're stuck. You're not going anywhere. That's it. You've got ADHD. You've got the labeling. You've put that on your head, and you know that's who you are. That's finally, oh my God, I can see it. And you can identify as that, and you can present yourself as that. But that only takes you so far. You still have the same ADHD paralysis, that mental block, that sort of the obsessiveness and the manic and the crazy and the chaos still within your mind. And you're still having to justify to other people why you're like this, but they don't know why you're like this. But you think that you're just making an excuse for being, lazy or unorganized or, frantic all the time, and just going from one job to the next job to the next job, or the one course to the next course, or, tasks to tasks, or moving house, or doing this or doing that. And people are like, well, I just can't keep up with you. So they think that's just you. They think you are just that person. That's just who you are. And you can obviously work to correct them. But when you are living with someone who is really organized and is, got their shit together, and they're very tidy, sometimes you find yourself, by way of coping and by way of like causing as little sort of acknowledgement to your chaos as possible, you try to fit around them and their manner, perhaps, of like living life and organizing. So you try to do everything by their way, but to you it's like learning hieroglyphics. Unless you know how to do that. Or Japanese hieroglyphics, is that even a thing? No, of course it isn't a thing. But to you, you'd be fluent because you know it, because that is your language. That's how you deal with things. That's how you know what works for you, what doesn't work for you. But if you're living with someone or you're working with people, that's how they do things. They think that's really normal. And you come in and you go, oh my God. And you can try and try and try and try and do everything their way. But eventually you will start burning out, because you're constantly masking your own behavior towards someone. You can mask your personality, you can mask conversations with people and pretend to be upbeat and bright and hey, this is great. But when it comes down to masking tasks, to you it's absolutely alien. So it doesn't feel normal to you, it doesn't feel right to you. It feels really, oh my God, but I need to do it because otherwise X, Y, and Z. So this is something that we're also talking about. And I think that's where eventually, once you do sort of get that acknowledgement, there are ADHD counsellors which really do work to sort of minimize that chaos, minimize that guilt, minimize that need to mask, so that you do feel a little bit more comfortable in saying, okay, this is the situation that I'm in at the minute, this is how I'm feeling. Do you mind if we talk about it, or do you mind if I just talk to you really openly? This is what I'm struggling with. And I think that they can really help you not change your mindset, but it can help you take the edge off that sort of emotional trauma of thinking back to once upon a time when someone said to you, why can't you just do this? And you're constantly acting in fear of that rejection, of thinking, oh God, well, I better not do that because otherwise, you know, it's time now for you to actually be yourself, own it, and allow yourself to be who you are, while giving yourself a great big dollop of forgiveness. I think there's a lot to be said for people who don't have ADHD, who really do work to try and understand, and they make those allowances, and they actually give you that space to go, yeah, do you know what, that's cool, let's regroup, come back in a bit, and you know, we talk about it. But all you can ever do is try to be better than before. And all that is you giving yourself forgiveness and allowing yourself to try and be better than before, while not trying to throw something to a wall and hoping that it sticks. You know, that phrase that I'm talking about. Because all the way through my life, I feel like I've just been constantly splattering, just hoping at some point that something might stick, and then it works. And I can be that person. There are so many different elements to you know, even a non-neurodivergent person, that for us who are next level, honestly, it's not easy. It's not easy to be us, and it's not easy to be having to explain and justify and ask for someone to understand us. If they don't understand us, that's fine, but you don't have to constantly try and ask for someone to understand you. If they don't, thank you very much. I appreciate you trying, but I need to go over here and really focus on myself and focus on people that do understand me, if only just for a moment, you know. So that would be the counsellors, the close family and friends, the people who, you know, perhaps I've got this little group on Facebook at the minute, which is just, you know, a handful of people who responded to a post that I did when I was right at the start of my ADHD journey. And they've gone, oh my God, I can relate to that. Oh my God, that sounds the same as me. Stick with those people, because they are the people who match your normal. You are normal. You're absolutely normal. You are normal for you. And who's anyone else to say that you are not normal? Who? No one. Because they're not normal to you. If these other people, these non-neurodivergent, well, that's not normal to you. So maybe they're not normal. Do you know what I mean? So I suppose my message to myself, because of course I need to just keep going forward as much as I'm finding myself go backwards sometimes, is actually acknowledge and recognize that this is a long process. I've spent 34, although we say I'm 27, 34 long years of life going through this, coping as best as I can, thinking that this was just me. I didn't know that this wasn't how I had to be. So there's been a lot of pent up frustrations, anxiety, injustice. You know, that's a massive thing, I think, that actually does get overlooked with the ADHD. It's an injustice that we've always had to be masking, you know, in order to be liked or to be socially accepted or to be, you know, getting through life as best as we can, while not trying to cause anyone else any trouble or troubled drama or troubled lives or whatever. But it's one thing to be like that, but it's also a very other thing. It's also another thing to be very much aware of that. So if you can then turn it back round and say, actually, I can acknowledge now that is how I once was, that's how I dealt with things. I probably am still programmed to deal with situations like that, because when I dealt with it, I self-soothed, I made allowances for myself, or I put on this coat of armour and this shield, and I tried to be like getting through it as best as I can. You don't have to do that anymore. And you really don't have to do that anymore. It doesn't have to be like that forevermore. It takes a long while to get diagnosed. It takes a long while to be sort of recognised as someone that has ADHD, whether it be through sort of work communications, or whether you go down the disability route, or whether you just sort of want to just say to someone, yep, do you know what, I've got ADHD. You know, when you put it on like these job application forms, any other mental disabilities or disorders, I used to be like, oh God, no, I hope not, you know. But that's who I am now. That's exactly who I am now. And the empathy part of having ADHD is, for me, what I would like to, I find it really sort of like a bit, ugh. I find it a bit gross. My superpower. Hiya! I find it a little bit like, ugh. But for the minute, I'm going to roll with it. That is my superpower. I can relate to people. I can understand people, like their emotions from their inner being. I can almost preempt how someone is feeling or how a situation would make them feel. I can use my emotional memory and my emotional intelligence to make that connection with someone and try and allow them to be open with me and give them that sort of safe space. So for me, that is all I'm going to be able to capital on, actually, because I can't think of another benefit ADHD has to me at the minute, apart from that emotional intelligence. I still can't watch programs. Oh my God. I tried to watch that Me and You on ITV at the minute. No. Don't do it. If you've got ADHD and you are highly emotionally dysregulated, oh my God, no. I tried to watch it again. So I watched it all the way through and I was like beside myself. And then I watched it again with Jen while she was round, and I'd turn it off because I felt like I was that person who was going through that situation. I could feel it. I could hear it in his face. I could hear it in his thoughts, in his bit. No. So I avoid putting myself in situations like that because I don't like feeling that big bubble of emotion because I can't regulate it. I often, when I get, look, I can feel myself getting all funny about it now, just remembering the emotions. So I need to really sort of like try and regroup. So this is why I always try and turn it off. I go, no, we're not talking about it. I can't talk about adverts that I've seen in the past. The Boots Christmas advert, I don't know if I've mentioned that before, where she gives her nan a necklace and she says, I love you, and it's just awful, it's horrendous, I can't deal with it. But they're also like really nice moments as well, and I just think, no. But I think because when I get that emotional, it takes me back to a time when I was emotionally dysregulating, but didn't know how to regulate. That has carried on with me throughout life. So I almost have to see, I can't. So I almost have to stop myself from I have to see, how can I go from 1 minute talking girlfriend finger clicking hair swish to this? You see what I mean? It's just awful. So we can't talk about anything sad because it induces in me, I get so upset and I feel it so intensely that it sparks off a panic attack. And it's terrifying. It's really scary because the more I keep remembering and the more I keep emotionally relating to a situation that I've never even been part of. I've never been in a situation like Me and You. I've, you know, lucky me. I've never been in that situation, but it takes me into that situation. Like, I'm that person, I'm that character. So, oh my God. So I find it hard to not relate to people. I find it hard to not be empathetic to them. But at the same time, that is my superpower because people, I feel so lucky that I've been able to tell sort of my story, as it were, And people have been able to reach out to me and say, Kai, what on earth's going on? This is how I feel. I'm like this. So I've been able to relate to them by giving them my side and my experience so far to date, by sort of signposting them to this and do this and try this and speak to this person. I know a friend of mine, she's actually using the same psychiatrist as myself. I don't think she's medicated at the moment, but you know, we've been discussing that, you know, so it's really good to have that connection with someone while you're not still sort of preaching at them. You're actually just going through it with them. You know, no one's full steam ahead and no one's that way. Everyone's got their own journey with it, but it is amazing how every single person I know with ADHD has exactly the same mental traits, and I mean mental, and I mean mental, and it's just so funny how we can sort of talk to each other and go, oh my god, this is exactly the same as me, and you don't feel so alone, because it isn't something to shy away from anymore. It's almost becoming the new normal. It's actually weird if you don't have ADHD. It's almost weird if you don't have bipolar, if you don't have autism, if you don't have borderline personality disorder. It's almost weird if you don't. So come and join the club, and I'll save you a seat next to me. And yeah, if there is anyone that needs to sort of talk or wants to have any signposting to any other charities or any other, so my psychiatrist perhaps, or just wanting to know that there's someone out there that gets it and that you're not on your own, please by all means drop me a message. I'm very, very much open, and you know, no one's a stranger. You don't have to be standing on ceremony with me. I'd like to think that you probably get a vibe of me now. No holds barred, and you know, everyone can just be whoever they want to be, and I think that's bloody about time as well. I'm going to sign off now before I actually cry anymore, because we don't want that. We don't need that anymore. Thank you very much for listening to me rabbit on about my past few weeks' experience in navigating my way through ADHD. My name is Kylie Rhea. I will be joined next time by a very special guest. I will be announcing these very, very shortly. But let's just say I've got a very busy week next week. Thank you very much for listening. My name is Kylie Rhea. You have been listening to the excuse me. You have been listening to the Living the Life of Kylie podcast, an eclectic mix, and that is all for now. Thank you very much for listening. Bye.